In my own life, it's really important to have that little cave where we can go inward and take that journey within. And then with the strength, with the grace that we are nourished with within, we can share that in our activities. And that's the idea of sadhana, or a spiritual practice. And I try to spend at least a few hours a day where I'm doing my meditation. You know, we all have a particular spiritual practice. In my tradition, it's very much based on connecting to the supreme source of everything and everyone through the chanting of mantras. And when I study sacred texts, I'm in a cave where I'm really in the presence of the supreme lover and the supreme object of love. And with the nourishment I gain there, and the nourishment I gain from being with satsang, their spiritual strength. And then whatever uncertain, ever-changing, turbulent times and situations come in our life, you know, we have an inner connection that gives us peace and clarity, and most important, compassion. And that's what we're striving for. Whether we're in a city, or whether we're in a deep forest, or whether we're in a farm, whatever it may be, the real meaning and joy of life is what we are activated to contribute to the world. And the idea of activism, when we speak and act in the mood of being instruments of God's love, with compassion and respect for life, respect for nature, then we really find the meaning of yoga. We find an inner connection, and through that inner connection, a connection with everything external as well. Going into nature, developing something like this eco-village that you're speaking about is a model which tries to show the beauty and the importance of living in harmony with the sky, living in harmony with the animals and the insects, and living in harmony with all of the vegetation, and living in harmony with other humans. And you know, I used to live in caves where there were leopards and bears and snakes, and one of my realizations is dealing with humans is more unbearable than being with bears. Because there's an ego situation that comes. But when we transcend our own ego, we can actually transcend the egos of others. And that means harmony. Yoga means to harmonize the body with the mind, with the heart, and with the soul, the living force. That's who we truly are. And in that harmony, we find harmony with God, we find harmony with all of nature, and we find harmony with all living beings. When we actually connect to the most essential quality of our true self, which is love, then we're activated by a spirit of compassion according to our capacity and according to our role. That could be done in a city, that could be done in a village, it could be done in a forest. It's a matter of that inner connection. But what is universally as important is respect for nature, because all nature is life, and everything's interconnected in this principle of life. We see it that Sarva Loka Maheshwara, that all of creation is the energy, the gift of God. So seva, the idea of service, the idea of yoga is we don't exploit the things of nature. We do not, as far as possible, pollute the gifts of nature, but rather we see it as God's gifts, and whatever we take from nature we offer back to replenish nature. And that's the vision of yoga for how we deal with the world, the environment. And the ecological environment problems will naturally be resolved to the extent that human beings actually see Mother Earth as our mother. And we don't want to exploit or pollute our mother. We want to offer respect to our mother and respect all of her children. Compassion to other living beings is declared in the yoga scriptures to be the highest form of yoga, the highest form of religion, and the highest way of expressing our love for God. So our eco-village is showing a model of living in harmony when we're there with nature and the birds. It's a bird sanctuary, it's an animal sanctuary, it's an ecological experiment in every way. We try to teach these things to the villagers, and people from all over the world are coming. And this spirit of living in harmony can be taken to the cities and to the towns and into our families and applied there. When people come together for a higher purpose, in a spirit of respect and compassion for all life and all beings, then there's a great power in that unity. And, whether right now people are protesting, and for those who are protesting with a compassionate spirit toward those who are being oppressed, that's actually a wonderful thing. And the deeper our compassion, the deeper our connection to God, the more we actually have power behind all of our activism. And we need environmental, we need social, and we need spiritual activism in this world. And when people recognize the need to come together for this purpose, then great changes take place. Whether you're living in a beautiful home, or whether you're living in Beverly Hills, California, or whether you're living in a little village in Maharashtra, India, it really doesn't make any difference. The real enlightened pursuit is that this is God's property, and my body is God's property, and other people are God's children, and let me raise my family according to these dharmic or moral spiritual principles, beyond sectarian ideas, and let me utilize what we have in harmony with this mindset, this spiritual principle. Compassion, humility, love are states of mind. They're actually states of consciousness that are meant to activate our actions and our words. And the idea of yoga is, the idea of spirituality really, is our actions are in harmony with what is favorable toward that connection within. And our spiritual practice is to make that connection so that our actions and words will be in harmony. Where there's the greatest need, there's the greatest opportunity to serve. Some people, their calling, they can show more compassion living in the middle of a city if they're organizing and activating their values. Thank you to all the viewers of today's event, and may our beloved Lord shower blessings and grace upon each and every one of you.